Hello, welcome back to the steedcraft workshop. Today we're moving on from the single injection wax moulding. We're still on waxing, but from a single moulding we're going to make a fabrication to enable us to make a lady's ring like this, which is the fabrication of several small wax mouldings. Again, we've pinched the sugarcraft and pastry cutter technology to make the little rose, the leaves and the heart-shaped background for the tray of the ring, because it's this wax that we're aiming at, which will be the wax for the lost wax cast bronze ring. So we're starting by making the tray of the ring, the body of the ring, and we've got a flat sheet welded to the wall or the surround of the ring, and this is what we want to concentrate on, is with simple tools how we can get a decent weld between the two pieces of wax. We're using soft modelling wax rather than the normal injection wax, and the advantages are that it can be cold formed fairly easily. Then is to start with cutting a strip of this modelling wax, about 4mm, which will make the wall around the heart shape, which I'm pushing a heart shape cut out from the wax sheet. This is 1.5mm thick sheet, and I'm going to leave it in the cutter mould while I warm the wax. It reduces the memory effect. When it bends when it's warm, it stays where it's bent. You use your wax knife, or I use my thumbnail to terminate the first strip. Bend the second one and then trim it off. And press it down so it's level with the tray. And I'm using the stitcher to introduce a tack weld into the V there, just to hold the end nice and steady for me. There we go. Introduce touch more wax into there. Notice I pushed the stitch welder right through the thickness of the weld to give good penetration, so we've got a full fusing of the wax. And the job now is to make a continuous weld between the base of the tray and the wall. You're using the end of the brass punch as the guide for the centre line of the weld. And we want a distinct bead, a distinct build-up of wax over the brass. This first weld is only a tack, because the brass is actually occupying the part of the seam that we want to be our weld in the final job. So we're tacking the heart into shape here, introducing extra wax. Okay, well, we've got a tack weld all the way around the seam between the, oops, bring the wax a bit closer, between the tray and the vertical edge. And what I'm going to do is to go in now with the stitch welder and using the extra wax that we've introduced with the tack weld to fuse both sides at least half the depth, about 3/4 of a mil, filling in that gap that was occupied by the brass of the pastry cutter. A short of wax there. There we are, that's a continuous weld, and we'll now file that down and make sure that we've got solid wax and no spaces, no gaps in the weld. Being a soft wax, it doesn't file particularly well, and the file soon clogs, so you have to make sure that you're keeping the file clean. I use a nylon brush rather than a steel brush. Steel brushes tend to blunt the files.